It's me, Carolyn. So I'm here at the 2024 Sundance Film Festival covering for KCrush American Magazine. And today I'm joined by directors and writers Arun Bhattarai and Dorte Zuro to talk about their film Agent of Happiness, which I really liked and I really enjoy. And it's a very interesting concept because it talks about the concept of gross national happiness, which is a actual policy that the Bhutanese government and monarchy has, where it measures the happiness level of the Bhutanese people to figure out if everyone is happy, we have a more stable government, we have a more stable society. And I think it's great that a country prioritizes happiness. But prioritizing happiness means that you actually have to meet the needs of the people, which your film talks about. Your film talks about saying everyone doesn't only need material wealth, everyone needs emotional happiness, mental happiness. They need stability in their families, they need stability in their marriages, and even in their status as people. Like for the lead character Amba, who is from Nepal, he's not stable because he's not a citizen. He lost his citizenship due to the Nepal Civil War, which was, I did some reading, which was between 1996 and 2006. So I think it's interesting, and I wanted to start our conversation here talking about Amber because he is an agent of happiness. He's been hired by the Bhutanese government to go around asking people what makes them happy, And it's kind of sad that as he's doing this, he himself isn't happy because the one thing I think that could make him the happiest would be to feel like he belongs, but he doesn't. So talk about making the film about a character like Amber.
Thank you very much, firstly, for having us. I'm Arun Bhattarai from Bhutan, one of the directors of Agent of Happiness. So with Amber, it was like basically, I myself also come from the Nepali origin, and I myself didn't have a citizenship for a long time. So we are kind of, I don't know, maybe fourth or fifth generation Nepali living in Bhutan, and we kind of identify ourselves as Bhutanese, basically. So just like Amber. So that's why I could really connect to his story because he didn't have a citizenship when we actually met him, when we actually went to the happiness center.
But what was interesting, sorry, I'm Dorothea from Hungary. But what was interesting that you nicely pointed out that when we met with Amber for the first time and we started to talk to him, somehow we slowly, as we get to know him better, we slowly realized that he's searching for love and he's also searching his own happiness. But in the process itself, we discovered that he doesn't have a citizenship, and that basically that would make him happy because that's kind of the obstacle, because he can't get married without it. And so it was kind of a natural process that what we discovered on the road. But what gave us kind of the first inspiration to work with him, also because of his very warm personality and the nice dynamic between his partner Gunaraj and how they conducted the survey, but also the fact that he's measuring other people's happinesses and searching his own, and we thought that this is kind of a nice emotional dynamic to accompany him on this journey.
Right, because I was wondering if everything that we were seeing, not only for Amber, but for there's also a transgender character, Dishan, she's searching for belonging just like Amber. She's searching she wants to be accepted by the culture and the community the same way that Amber is. And Dishan is interesting because she's fully accepted by her family and by her mother. Like, I love the scenes that you showed where you show that her mother is like, I love you, you're beautiful. There's a language she says, a daughter is a mother's prayer. And I thought that was so important to show that Dishan is loved by her mother, and that she's accepted. But it made me realize, I was thinking, this film is very much like a documentary, and then looking at your backgrounds, both of you have made documentaries, but this is a narrative film in a way. So talk about taking these real life these people and taking their stories and not having actors play them, but having them be themselves on screen and making a narrative documentary, which I think is a very interesting way to do the film, to talk about making the film about these regular people and using their stories for this film.
Yes. So one of the good things for us to follow the two agents was that during the process of seeing the survey take place, we were also kind of finding very interesting people. So it's like we didn't have to do really big research to find these people. So through Umber, actually, we met a lot of these interesting people. So we really got connected with these people on a personal level because we were observing this the survey itself, and then we decided to go back to them. So and then I think because we spent such a long period of time with them and we actually understood their lives and what they actually do, it was the filming process was much like easier because it's like we built a really beautiful relationship with them. Like with Dichen, we became like really good friends, and also with the young girl Yanka, and even with Aksin, who still regularly calls us and messages us from his village. So we got really good, like we became really good friends with them. So it was, so when we actually filmed it, it's like there's sometimes the conversations are so natural and free-flowing and authentic that sometimes it gives the impression that it's almost like a fiction, although it's a documentary.
And also what helped us, because I think our previous two films that we did before, they were more like one character driven, or we were focusing on a family and following them in a certain life situations. But this time I think we were also kind of experimenting with the narrative, because this time we like our method was that we would like to accompany the two agents who are going door to door and meeting with the people, and it was kind of like a free narrative framework, because we were meeting with many people in a day, and they were kind of random encounters, and then somehow we had to listen to their instincts, that who will be those side characters with whom after the survey we will develop a more deeper relationship, and I think because it's a multi-portrait and there are several parallel storylines, like editing-wise, this was the most difficult film that we worked on, and also during the editing we were trying to bring in a little bit of a fictional storytelling that sometimes like we already show some scenes with some characters, but later on we return to them. So like what was kind of leading the editing is that the emotional journey that Amber is taking and how the other people's stories can resonate to that, but just with a very like loose or associative connection. And regarding the filming style, because the survey itself, it's a very repetitive situation, and it's a very static situation. They always sit somewhere. We try to encourage them when there is silence. So we kind of had time to develop a cinematic style, that it will be kind of a symmetric compositions. It's very important for us what is visible on the frame, and I think because of the repetitiveness, we had some influence on it, that we could create compositions where the actual survey and conversation happens.
Right. The survey questions were very interesting to me because like the first set of questions they ask about, like, do you have a cow? Do you have a tractor? You know, do you have a machine to till land? And then it moves into things like, do you have a TV, laptops, and I thought it was interesting where for a lot of the people they actually didn't have like the things like the agricultural implements. You know, they had like the more modern day technology, but they didn't have the agricultural instruments, which is interesting again because Bhutan is a very it's in like in the mountains,
Yes, yes.
you know, and like agriculture is also a big part of the culture. And then it made me wonder, like, what was the I kind of saw it as the government was trying to say, do you have these things to help you maybe have a sustainable life?
Yeah.
Farm on, if you have the land, but if you have those tools to help you farm the land, you can have a happier life because you're able to feed yourself and make money that way. But then it made me also realize that the government isn't really thinking about the emotional needs of the people. The government is only going by what they think is a superficial neat thing to make you happy. You know, you have all this gear, all of this technology, then you should be happy. You have nothing to worry about. But the characters they talk about, like Nishan, is like, I want to be accepted as me. That's what would make Nishan happy. You know, Yanka, she farms potatoes on their family land, but she's not asking for machines to help her. She's like, I actually want my mom to stop drinking. That's what would make her happy. You know, she even dreams. She even like there's a story she tells like she sees herself as being a police officer, and it's interesting. She's watching TikTok videos of white police officers in like the Western world.
Yeah.
But at first I was thinking like, don't be enamored with these things. But I think it's a protective instinct she has. She wants to protect her mother. And to her, police means protection. You know, and and even for Amber, he has this job, but he is also looking for what makes him happy. So talk about Yanka in particular, like because she is revealing that her mother is an alcoholic, and like she and her little sister have to basically lie and hold up this fantasy to make their mother happy. You know, and she's revealing this to the world, and like her mom is sitting right next to her as she's saying these things, so it's not being hidden. So talk about Yanka and like centering the story, giving her a part of the narrative of the film, and highlighting what the young people in Bhutan are experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Yanka, what is very interesting, and I think it's also something that we could kind of relate to other teenagers like Yanka in Bhutan, is that like when the agents were going there and started asking the questions, she immediately started to open up. She immediately started to share her problems, and it was as if like she was waiting for someone to come and ask these questions to her. And I think it is similar to a lot of younger teenage people in Bhutan, because generally in Bhutanese families, you always see that people don't really open up. Like we don't really talk about our emotions with our parents at home. So
I think that's the same in most places. Like your parents might ask you, so tell me how you feel. You'd be like, I don't really think so.
So it was really a outlet for her to begin with, and then because she was so honest, that was one of the reasons we actually wanted to kind of go deeper and then find out about what was her dreams, and the fact that she was a mother figure for her little younger sister, because her mom herself was not missing from her life. And that's going to add something.
And then, basically that was like I remember the moment when we were witnessing the survey situation with Yanka and her mom, and I think it was we already did several surveys during that day, and then as we were listening to Yanka, how she's opening up and how she's sharing her innermost feelings, that was kind of like a magical moment for us. And after the interview, she actually told us that she felt that her heart became easier, that we were there and we were genuinely listening to her, and at that moment we felt that even though the survey questions are it's a massive data collections, the questions are not therapeutic, and many times the questions are superficial, or the questions are trying to push the replies into a mathematical formula so that like the data analysis can do something with it, but for us it was kind of a nice contrast that even these questions could make people feel share and
Love.
and open up.
Right, because it would create a discussion, I think, amongst people where, like, for instance, if a family watches the film, the parents might be more inclined to actually be open to their children. And instead of asking the children what they want, the parents would say, well, this was my experience when I was younger, and this is how I feel, you know. This is how I see happiness, you know. And one of the other situations, characters in the film, would be these three women who are married to this older gentleman. It's a polygamous relationship, and I noticed that he was answering all of the questions, you know, and he's saying all of these things because this is what makes him happy, and it's very, very clear that the happiness of his wives aren't his priority. You know, he believes that as long as he's happy and he's satisfied, then they must be too. You know, but then I love that you went back and you talked to them, because you can tell that you saw the reaction. Because one of them actually starts crying, and she's like, you can see Erin, she's like, this guy, she's like saying, I'm not happy. And she's saying, everything that you're saying doesn't apply to me. Everything you're saying doesn't apply to the rest of us women. So tell me about actually going back to the women and talking to them personally and getting their perspectives. Because when he was talking, it was like, I hope he shuts up. And it wasn't be really weird, but it was just like, these women, you can look at their faces and see they're not happy, you know, but that's the situation they're in. So talk about going back and speaking to them in particular.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the ideas of the film was always to go behind the numbers, and sometimes like in a certain situation, because it's like government people are coming here and asking these questions, people like tend to just like give their answers, and but the first time we went only and we saw the situation, we were immediately struck by this man, of course, and he's not the most nice person, and then we really we really felt for his three wives instead.
And we also wanted to give voice to them, because the survey was conducted
like a spontaneous
of the husband, and then we also felt that we would like to give the chance for the wives to express their feelings as well, and to little bit understand their dynamic in a way, because we also felt that there is a myth around because we felt that from the first interview you can have that perception that the man is really dominating on the lives of his wife, although he's really proud of their relationship. But we really wanted to also empower Tashi and the wives to show that somehow they found happiness in their sisterhood, and somehow they found a way to be content in this relationship, or maybe to accept the relationship with their husband, and I think that was very important for us, and we felt that we want to give voice to them as well.
Yeah, no, that part was one of my favorite parts, because I was like, you could see the love between these women. They learn to love each other, you know, instead of becoming enemies in this situation. They decided, you know what, we have to band together, because we can't depend on him, you know, so we're gonna have to learn to depend on each other and form this family. So we're gonna wrap up now, but I want to ask both of you now, how has your perception of happiness changed after making this film? Because happiness is very individual, which again, I think listening to the snippets of what the king and the politicians are saying in the film, but also kind of like what I was reading from before, they want happiness to be this very overall and general concept. You know, they want happiness to be the same for everyone, because they believe that's how they get a more stable society. Yes, but happiness is very individual. So how did both of you change your perception of happiness personally?
For me, it's more like I think the process of making the film was more like, it was for me like a reminder of certain things that actually used to make me happy. So when you are actually talking to these different people, and when you are hearing from them what actually makes them happy, you also kind of go back to certain fundamental, basic things that used to make me happy. We with our big dreams, we sometimes forget the little things that actually used to make us content and make us happy. So for me, I think that was the beautiful part of making the film.
And for you?
For me, actually, it was really empowering to see like, of course it's hard to generalize, but somehow I feel that what I was very impressed by listening to Bhutanese people, that even though you have a lot of difficulties, sorrow and tragic life situation, but somehow there was always some hopefulness in the way they see they see life, or they see their life, or there is always some kind of acceptance that no matter what hardships comes, that like we have to let it go and live further, and somehow recognize what can make us content, or what can make us stronger, or what are the values in our life, in our closest relationships. So also for me it was a very nice reminder that many times we enter the house of people who has almost no material goods, because they are always doing this question of the household items, and has so less to own, but at the same time their soul was so rich, and they had this genuine wisdom to remind ourselves of those things that somehow we taken for granted, like our relationships, or like caring one another, or the moment that we can appreciate in life, and not always striving more. So yeah, for me that was something that I learned from these interviews.
No, great. Thank you so much for speaking with me and for the film, because I think there is something that can be learned from the Bhutanese people, which is like taking pleasure in the small things. Because there's like this lady, she was like, my cow Lemo gave birth, and she's like, well, that's the happiest thing that could ever happen to me, because like she gave birth, which means I have milk that I can feed my family. And then she's also like, I'm also happy for Lemo, because Lemo has a calf now. And it was like, and she was like, that's it, that's all I need to be happy. And it was like simple pleasures, simple things, you know, and like remember to embrace those moments of joy, and like those moments of where we can say, you know what, there is a brighter moment today, you know, like there is something that we can be thankful for. So thank you so much for talking with me and for making the film.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Congratulations, and I hope you have a film festival, a very fun festival season.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.